topic I'm going to do my presentation on is child labor in U.S. history. Forms of child labor, including indentured servitude and child slavery, have existed throughout American history. As industrialization moved workers from farms and home workshops into urban areas and factory work, children were often preferred because factory owners viewed them as more manageable, cheaper, and less likely to strike. Growing opposition to child labor in the North caused many factories to move to the South. By the 1990s, states varied considerably in whether they had child labor standards and in their content and degree of enforcement. By then, American children worked in large numbers in mines, glass factories, textiles, agriculture, canneries, home industries, newsboys, messengers, bootlegs, and peddlers. In the early decades of the 20th century, the numbers of child laborers in the U.S. peaked. Child labor began to decline and the labor and reform movements grew, and labor standards in general began improving, increasing the political power of working people and other social reforms to demand legislation regulating child labor. Union organizing and child labor reform were often intertwined, and common initiatives were conducted by organizations led by working women and middle class consumers such as state consumer leagues and working women's societies. These organizations generated the National Consumers League in 1899 and the National Child Labor Committee in 1904 with shared goals of challenging child labor, including through anti-sweatshops campaign and labeling programs. The National Child Labor Committee worked to end child labor was combined with the efforts to provide free compulsory education for all children and culminated in the passage of the Fair Labor Act in 1938, which set federal standards for child labor. In 1832, the New England unions condemned child labor. The New England Associate of Farmers, Mechanics, and Other Working Men resolved that children should not be allowed to labor in the factories from morning till night without time for healthy recreation, mental culture, for it endangered their well-being and health. In 1836, the first child labor law was passed in Massachusetts. It stated that Massachusetts required children under 15 working in factories to attend school at least 3 days a week. In 1876, the labor movement urges minimum age law. Working men's parties proposed banning the employment of children under the age of 14. Finally, in 1938, for the first time, minimum ages of employment and hours of work for children are regulated by federal law. Some examples of the federal law that we practice today in the United States: for the age of 14 years old, exception includes newspapers delivery, performing in radio, television, movie, or theatrical productions, and work for parents in family business, manufacturing, or hazardous jobs. So at the age of 14, children can work in these areas. For 18 years old, no working during school hours, on school days, 3 hours, 18 hours week maximum. When school is out of session, 8 hours day, 40 hours a week. Labor Day to May 31st, work must occur between 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. June 1st, Labor Day, all work must occur between 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. Federal minimum wage is $7.25 per hour. Youth minimum is $4.25 per hour. For employees under 20 years of age during their first 90 consecutive calendar days, employment with an employer. Overtime is regular time and a half. Must be paid after 40 hours a week. Some examples of countries that still do not have labor laws are Yemen, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Somalia, and Sudan. Thank you for your time.